What's up, y'all? We back with another video. It's the same kind of concept that has kind of been the last two videos. This is part 3 of getting to know me. I wanted to go into detail about everything that I talked about. I also want to start by saying that my mom and dad aren't bad people. Not even my stepdad. The things that I went through, I don't fully blame them for. I mean, they might blame themselves or hold themselves accountable, but I don't necessarily look at my life and still be sad all the time and stuff like that. And things happen, but my willingness and openness to express who I am and where I came from isn't to take any shots at my parents or to make it seem like they didn't do their best job. It's just to express what I feel, what I think, and what my energy is based upon where I came from. So this time I won't use my notes. I'm kind of just gonna talk to you guys about my life. It's gonna be a lot of fiddling because I don't necessarily sit on camera and talk about my life. I mean, I've talked to people about the things I've been through. It's nothing to express the weight or feeling of trauma, but I've never sat in front of the camera and just talked about it. So this is new. First and foremost, I was raised here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Born and raised. I kind of grew up a little bit here and there in Georgia, but ultimately I was born here in Milwaukee. Spent like the next 2 years here, then 2 years in Georgia. Then I moved back here when I was 4 years old and lived here for about 11 years out of that, or after that. So I went to a Spanish-speaking school growing up, K4 and K5. I learned different walks of life. That's where I started to see different people, backgrounds, ethnicities, cultures, religions. I just started to see a lot of different things at young ages. So 4 and 5, I went to this school called La Cosa. It was a Spanish school, and they taught me quite a bit of what you learn in Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. I pretty much learned at K4 and K5. So that was an experience in itself. Moved past that school to a school called Trowbridge, and that was first through third grade, fourth grade. Yeah, first through fourth grade. But I spent fourth grade in the third grade classroom because me and the teacher didn't get along. But backtracking to La Cosa, this is where the experience with my stepdad kind of began. Learning that he doesn't really mess with me. We not really close. He doesn't treat me like a son. Like, we would kind of spend time on the way to school, but that would pretty much be it as far as us spending quality time. If we played the game, he would probably win and then laugh about it because I would be sad, stuff like that. That was the dynamic of our relationship. As far as my mom and I, around that age, she was working a lot, so I didn't really see her as much. But me and my stepdad, first physical encounter came when he got, I guess a little aggressive because I had a slick mouth and a bad attitude from what he told me. And I just kept talking stuff to him like he wasn't going to do nothing, this, that, and the next. And so he handled me, which, in my opinion as an adult, is the right thing to do. I can't necessarily say that I exactly did those things, but if that's what he did it for, then hey, that's what happened. There's nothing I really hold against him. That's just, hey, I got my ass beat young. 4 and 5, they started me young, man. They weren't playing with me. So I would say our relationship definitely tanked from there because not only did you not put your hands on me, but you already never really messed with me. You already didn't show love to me, wasn't a father to me. So now I really can't mess with you. And that's pretty much how our relationship was in the household, like I said in the last videos, until, they got a divorce and things changed. So around that time, like I said, my mom worked a lot. So going to Trowbridge was a new move, but it started to cause my mom to have to leave work early. Like I said, I got into it with the teacher. She didn't like me, and I was in a whole nother classroom. That was a grade behind me because that teacher liked me and I liked her. But it still, impacted my mom because she was getting called out of work, this, that, and the next. So she had to actually prove to the principal that, there were some discriminatory acts towards me, which there was. And, that kind of forced my mom in a lot of different situations that made her a lot more angrier at me, for her having to leave work or her having to stop doing what she's doing to come see what I'm doing. So that started to, I would say, ruin the relationship of mom and dad at home. I think they kind of was very frustrated with me overall. And I can't say if it was like a good thing or bad thing, but I can say I did feel a lot of their frustrations growing up. And personally, I don't think the things I was doing was worth that much frustration. But hey, it's the past that happened, and that's just what life was. So, moving out of that school, I went to another school. Now, I didn't really have issues too much in those first two schools with bullying. I think the Spanish school was a guy that didn't like me, but it was really because we liked the same girl at ages 4 and 5. So we had a little beef here and there, but it was never nothing too much. Until I got to this other school called Gainesland. I went there for 5th grade. And that was a whirlwind because I lived in the hood around the corner from the school, but I never went to a school like that. Like I said, I went to a Spanish speaking school and a Caucasian school, predominantly Caucasian school. So coming back to my hood and then going to a school around the corner was like a whole new way of life, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. That's when I started to identify mental health issues. I had a counselor for the first time, and that's when I kind of got into it. Then all the time that whole year, I got suspended for fighting a lot, even though I didn't start the fights, or sometimes didn't finish them. I was just in them and ended up getting in trouble for them. So that was kind of a situation in 5th grade, being bullied. I didn't really like it, but I didn't have a dad, so it's not like anybody taught me how to fight. So that fucking sucked. That sucked ass. Can't lie to you. But hey, it's life. Again, it happens. And that was 5th grade. But again, the whole time, it's not like my grades tanked or I was like a snobby kid. I wasn't bad. I still had my manners. I still was respectful. I still was, on top of things. But I just was always in trouble, always into something. And it wasn't I wouldn't always put it on me. But, as an adult, I've learned to take all the accountability, regardless if it's my fault or not. I'm going to just take the blame. And that way it's not too much on anybody else. That's how I view things. So, moving past that, 6th and 7th grade, I went to this school called Milwaukee Sign Language School. Now, around this time is where things take a plummet because my mom and her husband get into a divorce, and a lot happens, behind the scenes around that divorce that kind of impacted not only me, but my sister and my mom. Great changes happened around 2009, 2010, and 2011. Those years were pivotal in switching dynamics of the household. So I then became the man of the house, but my mom ultimately was still the man of the house. So she then had to take on a more aggressive role in raising me. And it really sucked because around that time was my sister's last year at home with us. So my sister would leave and go to college, and I think that was another heartbreaking moment. So they got a divorce. My mom got a lot more physical and abuse, and my sister was now leaving for college, and that just really hurt me a lot. I think I was only like 10, 11 or something like that. And she didn't like that I was crying or sad, but my sister was my best friend. And it sucked with her leaving because I didn't always receive the best love from mom, and my sister kind of held her accountable in a lot of ways growing up for that. And when she left, nobody was really there to hold her accountable for the lengths she would go into disciplining me or reprimanding me. Some things will go a bit too far. Like I can give you one time where my face was like blue from her like slapping me over and over with all her rings on her finger. And she did that because she thought, she got a call from the school saying that I was cussing on the bus with my friend. But whole time, I was fakely trying to show my wee-wee to some girl. I wasn't cussing. The bus driver wasn't talking about me cussing, but I got in trouble for that. So I had to stay out of school for like 2 weeks because my lips was blue and black, and I couldn't go to school at that time because mom's already had like 2 cases on her. That would have gave her 3rd strike. So, that's a depiction of how things at home was. It got real tough, real dark, and I say that's where things for me started to create a depression. I started to become depressed after 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and I started to hate myself, hate the life that I was living. And it began not only with the bullying at school, like I said, with things at home. It just started to build up, and I felt little to no relief. Going to see my other family for the summer was just a pastime. It didn't make things better at home. It just made them gave a temporary solution, and that wasn't always the best. So coming out of middle school, I went to another school after Milwaukee, Sign Language School, for 8th grade. Now this is where it gets hazy. So once my mom and dad, stepdad got a divorce, I found out I had an actual real dad that wasn't my stepdad. Because like I told y'all in the other videos, I was named after my stepdad, and I thought that was my dad. But come to find out, when I met my real dad at like ages 11, he now came into the picture. But around age 12, I would still go back and forth with my stepdad. My mom would send me over there, and we would like still connect because he was paying child support and things like that. So it was a big confusing state, because there was times my real dad would drop me off at my stepdad's house, and that was confusing. I just never really understood what was going on at first. And when I turned about 12, 13, and I was in 8th grade, 7th grade going to 8th grade, my mom actually sent me down to Georgia where my stepdad had moved, and sent me there to live with him. So when I was living with him, his family kind of like mistreated the fuck out of me. And one time kicked me out in the middle of the night. It was like midnight. Kicked me out in the middle of the night because they felt like I was too disrespectful. But they was disrespecting me. They getting in my face, being rude to me, talking shit to me. And I've always been an outspoken person, which is why I got in trouble in school. And it's not like I would cuss somebody out and be like rude and disrespectful, but talking back was considered disrespectful. Speaking up for yourself was considered disrespectful. Saying things that adults don't like was considered disrespectful. And I got a lot of retaliation for having an opinion, which honestly never deterred my opinion, but it just made me speak less. So at that time, they didn't like my opinion, and they mishandled me as a kid. You know, no kid should be kicked out at the ages of 12 for speaking the truth. It's not like I cussed them out, degraded them, spoke less of them. Held them accountable and asked them questions on why they were moving in the ways that they were, and they didn't like that. So I got mishandled at that time, and it caused me to hate even more. I think that time really broke the kid in me and started to break the man in me, and I hadn't even become a man yet. So moved back here for 8th grade because I was supposed to do 8th grade down there with him for whatever reason. And when I moved back here for 8th grade, I went to this school called my bad, y'all, I forgot. I think it was called Hawthorne. Yeah, so I started a school in Georgia, and then ended up moving back here and going to school on this on the campus of UWM. They have a elementary school. That was my elementary school for 8th grade that I graduated from, and I met some cool people, but I didn't make like any long-lasting friends at none of my schools actually. I met one friend, his name was Jason, and we was cool from the block, but it wasn't nothing like from school or like too extenuating. We ended up going to the same school, I think, or we went to school around the corner from each other, but we wasn't as close. Like, we wasn't always telling each other's business, but that was still my dog. So from there, 8th grade to 9th grade, I kind of made a big change because my Aunt Cicely sent me like plenty shoes and clothes, because I didn't have a lot of shoes and clothes growing up. I didn't dress the best in elementary school. And I mean, I'm a kid, so I didn't really care. But when you go into school with everybody else that got the best clothes, it's kind of degrading and deteriorating, especially when people talk down on you for having shoes like Levi's and they got Jordans, you know. So my auntie started to splurge on me that summer between 8th and 9th grade. And I also think it's because she felt bad for all the stuff that actually happened, because she bought me like 6-7 pairs of shoes, coats, jackets, hoodies, sweatpants, jogging pants, jeans. She spent at least a good $1,000 that summer on clothes and shoes, just for a whole new wardrobe for me. And I won't say that I don't appreciate it, but just looking back with the things that I was dealing with and going through, I think she really felt bad for me. And I appreciate the love that she did give to me in that way, because it kind of changed my energy. Yeah, but I can't say it was for the best. I started to become a little more arrogant and a little more prideful, a little more angrier with people, because now all those people that was talking down on me want to be my friend. You know, all those people that was trying to be mean to me or didn't like me wanted to be cool. And that was one of the most confusing but exhilarating feelings, because now it's fuck y'all. But guess what? We cool though. We cool. I fuck with you. I don't care. I don't like you. I won't ever really be cool with you, but cool. We can be cool. I became one of the fakest homies. I ain't care about none of that. You ain't fuck with me, I ain't fuck with you. And I knew you didn't mess with me, so guess what? You'll never know if I don't mess with you. Because you weren't even real enough to say, I don't mess with you, and you stopped messing with me. No, you probably kept me around and then was trying to play in my face, or you was talking down on me when I was a little nigga, and then when I bossed up, you want to be cool with me. We cool on that. And that's been my energy since. So 9th grade wasn't bad. It was nothing I can like devastatingly remember. I think a lot of trauma and abuse was still going on at that time. It was really like stressful. Me and my mom got into physical fights, fist fights, and I've never like put my hands on my mom, but like that's how I went. Like, moms would put hands on me like I was a homie off the street. Moms would tell me to get out the car and fight her if that's really how I was feeling. You know, moms one time had me choked up. I couldn't breathe, folks. I never was dying, and she even said it to herself. She saw the life like leaving my eyes, and that's the only reason she let me go. And it's like, You know, as far as abuse go, I done got my ass beat. I ain't gonna, like, severely, cause, and like I said at the beginning, it's no dig at my mom, but no child should experience the amount of abuse that I did. And I don't think many children that do experience that amount of abuse turn out to be as loving and as vulnerable and as passionate as I am. But I can say it's a direct result of the anger that I do have. I really don't tolerate a lot of stuff, and when I get mad, I'm really mad. So, yeah, moving to 10th grade, I think this was one of the most pivotal years in my childhood, because after, you know, going to therapy for the first time, like I told y'all younger, I had a counselor, but I never went to therapy. She was just my counselor at school to help me deal with my emotions. But this therapist now wanted to help me deal with things with my family and the dynamic that we had, and I actually enjoyed that. You know, I enjoyed learning about myself and understanding things for what they are and starting to heal. I really enjoyed that. I think that was one of my best years in school.
Power off.
That was my speaker. I think that was one of my best years in school. I had ended with a 3.9, and out of my friend group, one had a 3.9, which was me. One had a 3.8, which was my other friend, and then my other friend was, you know, a girl I messed with at the time. She had a 4.0. So we all literally was like top of the class, best students, and really was doing well. But my semester, second semester, really depleted because I moved. My mom and dad, well, my mom, it was a lot going on, and I ended up moving in with my dad. Like I told y'all in the last episode, I did a lot of back and forth. It was a lot of confusion. As you see me explaining the story, it's like whatever as I talk about it, because there's a lot of confusion, you know. So I moved in with my dad second semester of my sophomore year, and that was like a big change. I can't say I didn't like it. I actually loved it, you know, but I didn't fully, because his discipline and my mom's discipline was different. You know, she didn't like that I would get in trouble, or when she would express a problem to me or something she didn't like, and I may not respond to that. She didn't like that. That would be most of the time she would get active with me. And although it never really needed to go too far, she always take it to the furthest, which is fun. But with my dad, he'll take it far if he want to, but the levels he gonna take it to is levels you never even wanted to go to in the first place. So, and his is more of principle, and I'm 14, 15 with little to no principle. So I got in trouble quite a bit with my dad because he was teaching me principle. So I was always in trouble. I was always on punishment for a month without my phone or without my laptop, or, you know, that's when I got kicked off the basketball team because I had a bad day and my principal had said something to me I didn't like, and I got on his case. And I think that time I cussed him out. But my dad took me off the basketball team to, you know, show me that this is not how you talk to adults. And honestly, that it didn't work, because I got in trouble again years later for telling somebody else about themselves, you know, and he had to let me know at that time to bring it to him and let him deal with the teachers. Like stuff like that, you have to teach me early on or all the way in depth. You can't tell me, okay, you don't talk to your teachers like this, and then, okay, I talk to them in a different way with the same message. Oh, okay, you don't talk to them like this, you bring them to me. Oh, that's confusing to me. I get mad at that, because you could have said that from the beginning, and next time a teacher had me messed up, I'd have called you that moment. I'd have called you on the phone in that second. But that's not what you're teaching me. So that created a lot of issues between me and my dad, because I felt like he was so busy trying to teach me. You need to, it gotta be, you need to. It was so much of that where he spent no time on learning me. It wasn't, well, who are you? Where are you? When he would say that, we would argue, because I would tell him some stuff about me. That's not who you are. That's just your name. That's just this. And it's like, you so busy trying to teach me instead of trying to even work with me to learn me or help me learn myself. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And I can say as an adult, I'm more appreciative of it now, but I hated it, I swear. I hated it. It really drugged me through a lot of unnecessary thoughts, unnecessary feelings. Like, I won't even tell you half the stuff he said to me, but the most damaging thing he's ever said when I was dealing with, suicide and depression, after he took me out of therapy because my mom wasn't taking it as serious. He took me off the basketball team, and as I was feeling at my lowest, and I told him, he told me that I was being facetious, saying that I wanted to kill myself. If I really wanted to, I would take his gun and kill myself, and that muted my whole emotional processing, emotional thinking. It muted all of it because, what? I would kill myself and you'll clean it up if that's really what I wanted to do. He had a way of psyching me out of doing things, I guess. So when I moved to Georgia for 11th grade, moms and pops moved to Georgia. And that forced me to move to Georgia. So I went to this first school, but that didn't work out. And I ended up going to this other school called Lakeside, and that's where I graduated from. And that school wasn't bad. At that point, I just didn't care anymore. I didn't care about school. I didn't care about making friends. I didn't really care too much about family because I stayed with my dad, but I wasn't living with my dad. I was at, the house with my brothers and their mom, and that was a whole nother situation because me and one of my brothers are the same age. So it's like having a kid you cheated on your wife with at your wife's house. It was retarded if you ask me. But in the spaces and the dynamics of things, it was the best fit for me. I was around my brothers, and that was the best thing I could do. Although his wife may have felt ways, I'm sure she tried her best to put him aside, but at the end of the day, we all human, and things didn't go the best at that household either. So when I graduated, I definitely got up out of there. Definitely went back with moms because I wasn't treated as the adult or the becoming adult that I was. I was getting in trouble for little stuff like leaving jelly on the counter at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning before going to school. Like, you really think I noticed the jelly on the counter? And if I did, you gonna punish me for a month for it? Like, come on, man. We have to grow up. We have to stop trying to mistreat me and give me that BS. Like, it's my fault and I deserve that. Like, come on, man. Even my brother, like, one time I was having sex with this shorty. My brother snitched on me. He ain't leave the room. He ain't say, bro, can y'all, go into the bathroom? The nigga snitched on me the next day because he couldn't wake up for what he had to do. Like, come on, man. Yeah, so I thank God for my friend Chris, because that's who I met my senior year. And we're still friends today. That's one of the closest homies I've ever had up until recently. And from there, I would say that was a lot. High school all the way down was a lot. So it encouraged me to try to run away from my problems. And I went to a school that I thought would reunite me with my best friend, but it didn't. I actually ended up falling out of love with my best friend, finding out that she wasn't as honest with me and upfront. She did things that she didn't disclose to me, and she made decisions that came back and slapped me in the face when I went to the school and she no longer was there. So that kind of created a resentment towards her and people in general, because that was honestly the one person I trusted the most. So for us to lay things on the line and she still lie and act like she don't know what was going on, it kind of broke my heart. So I didn't turn into a minister or nothing. I just kept my head down and kept it pee like I always do. But I ran into this girl who opened my heart up. You know, she made me look at life completely different, because one day she just I'll get into the love stories another time. But basically she opened my heart up to understanding how to be a better man. And from that day forward, I made it my duty to be the best version of myself that I can be, not just for any woman, but generally for myself. So it started with her, and I had to learn who I am and what that looks like. You know, the ways that I show up, the things that I do. I had to learn those things, change my mindsets, accept different things about me. And that also is when I started writing my book about love, eccentric adolescents. Make sure y'all get that. After that, I had this other girl who actually lived with and for. She helped me look at love in a long term. Like, I wanted to make her my wife. I had created plans and ideas, before her. But with her, I felt those plans and ideas were actually gonna come to pass. And they didn't, but it opened me up to a new way of thinking and living. Coming from all of that confusion and chaos and hatred as an adolescent and a teenager, to then turn 19 and step into another space of life and thinking, which I consider consciousness. I became more aware of myself and the ways that I feel and think and do, and started to make the necessary changes for me to become better. So that included basketball. I stopped talking about how much I hated that I got taken off the basketball team, and how much I hated that nobody was there to support me or show me how to play. And I started to learn on my own and take the time to learn all the details, learn all the fundamentals, go out there and train and practice and recreate consistently as much as I can, without a idea of what it's going to be for me. I have had dreams and wants and goals, but I still don't know where things are really going to turn out to end at. But I know what I'm going to do moving forward to get to where I want to go. So that's pretty much where I've been at with basketball. Just life and architecture in general, I've done the same thing, just looking at it in totality, looking at life like I'm 25 now. At that time, I was 20. Where did I want to be in the next 5 years? And of course, a lot of material things was spoken of. But when I look back, a lot of mentalities and ideologies and values weren't disclosed, but are much better. It's in a space that I didn't see for myself. I treat women like the queens they are, even if they don't treat themselves as such. I treat my mom like the queen she is. That's my best friend now. She talks to me about everything. We break things down. We love on each other. Anything from the past, it's not even nothing we discuss, because I don't hold that against her. Same with my dad. We're close, but not the closest. I wish we would be closer, but he's a man with a different mentality, and I'm a man with a different mentality. So instead of us being as close, we're just connected, and I appreciate that above all else. Outside of those things, I would say I'm just now doing the work that I started at 19, which included unconditional love and changing my mannerisms and my decision-making processing. A lot of different things happened at my adolescent ages that I might not have went too far into detail about, but giving you an overview about the abuse I faced, the confusion I dealt with, and the hatred that I harbored created a depression that I couldn't really shake until I was 19, and I realized how deep and dark of a depression I was actually in, and the ways that was actually taking me, and the roads that was leading me down, I didn't like or want for myself. So I made the cognitive change to be a better person, And that included my relationships and my own personal lifestyle. So I can say I commend myself for making it this far and making the necessary changes. I am proud of myself because not a lot of people make these changes, and not a lot of people make growth as something that's important in their lives. Well, for me, it's everything, because I wouldn't be half the man I am today if I didn't grow, so all those things might have changed me and might have hindered me at a time, but now those things are just parts of my past and my life that I can use for my future to ensure that I don't allow my children to feel that type of confusion or neglect or trauma or abuse at all, and finding different solutions in dealing with whatever I may think is frustrating or I think reprimanding my kids may be. I want to make sure that I learn to use the best tools possible. So, thanks for watching and coming to get to know me. I kind of wanted to lay things out for you guys so you can kind of understand why I am the way that I am. I'm very chill. I don't do too much. I'm very focused on bettering me in a space where people dwell consistently on the darkness in their past or the things that hinder them. I don't dwell on those things. I really personally just put my head down or look up and do the personal work that I need to do each and every day to be the best version of myself. So I wanted to tell my story so I can encourage you all to do the same thing. I'll go into more details about relationships and other things about myself as well in different times, but this was a overview and detailed explanation about getting to know me. So I hope this was something nice for you guys to not only hear and think about your stories, but feel and accept the vulnerability of the life you may have lived or have gone through. It's life, and all of us may have lived different lives, but you can tell your story and encourage somebody else. So have a good one.